Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Question 1. A taxi driving license is due for renewal after a maximum period of A. 3 years, B. 10 years, C. 15 years, D. 5 years. The correct answer is D. 5 years. In order to drive as a professional taxi driver, you must first of all complete the application process and then pass the theory and practical tests. Once you have successfully passed all elements of the process, a taxi license will be issued. A taxi driving license is valid for 5 years from the date of issue. Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Question 2. If your shift involves driving for a long period, what should you do to try and minimize the effects of fatigue? A. Include time for breaks and refreshments. B. Increase the volume on the car radio. C. Turn the car heating system up. D. Keep altering your position on the seat to stay alert. The correct answer is A. Include time for breaks and refreshments. Don't drive for too long without taking a break. Your concentration will be much better if you plan regular stops for rest and refreshments. It's recommended that you take a break of at least 15 minutes after every 2 hours of driving. This is especially important at night. Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Question 3. You are not sure if your cough medicine will affect your driving. What should you do? A. Contact your doctor for advice. B. Drive providing you feel alright. C. Ask a friend who has used it. D. Take a lower dose prior to driving. The correct answer is A. Contact your doctor for advice. If you're taking medicine or drugs prescribed by your doctor, check to ensure that they won't make you drowsy. If you forget to ask when you're at the surgery, check with your pharmacist. Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Question 4. What sort of foods, if taken in moderation, should be included as part of a healthy eating plan? A. Caffeine-based. B. Protein-based. C. Carbohydrate-based. D. Fat-based. The correct answer is B. Protein-based. Proteins are essential components of diet but are not needed in vast quantities by adults, although their presence makes for slow digestion and prolonged satisfaction after eating. However, care is needed to ensure that you do not eat excessive amounts of foods such as eggs and cheese. Protein-based foods should be included as part of a healthy eating plan. However, eating them in large quantities can add extra unnecessary fat or salt to your diet, which can contribute to an increase in cholesterol levels. Recommended protein portion sizes vary according to sources, but a general approximation of a single portion would be any one of the following: 4 ounces 100 grams meat, fish or poultry, approximately 1 ounce 30 grams of Howard cheese or nuts, and 2 whole eggs. Many traditional ways of serving proteins, such as frying, battering, and cooking in pies and puddings, can add unnecessary calories. Any fats added should be unsaturated ones, such as sunflower and olive oils, or products such as spreads manufactured from them. Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Question 5. What item, in a serviceable condition, must be carried when operating as a taxi? A. Child's booster seat. B. A flashlight. C. Warning triangle. D. Fire extinguisher. The correct answer is D. Fire extinguisher. All taxis must carry at least one fire extinguisher. It must be serviceable and carried in an easy accessible location on the vehicle. Regulations specify the type and size of fire extinguisher that must be carried on your vehicle. You should be able to recognize the various types of fire extinguisher and know which fires they are intended to tackle. For example, It is dangerous to tackle a fuel fire, flammable liquid, with a water or carbon dioxide fire extinguisher, since this may only spread the fire further. Each extinguisher will have a colored label or badge relevant to its content. Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Question 6. What is the maximum number of taxis that can operate on a large taxi operator's license? A. Unlimited. B. 30. C. 10. D. 50. The correct answer is A. Unlimited. There are two types of operator's license. Small operator, a maximum of 2 taxi vehicles available for use at any one time. Large operator, no restrictions on the number of taxi vehicles available for use at any one time. Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Question 7. On which occasion must you stop your vehicle? A. When involved in a road traffic collision. B. At a zebra crossing when someone is waiting. C. When the amber lights flash at a pelican crossing. D. At a junction with double broken white lines. The correct answer is A. When involved in a road traffic collision. Don't stop or hold up traffic unnecessarily. However, you must stop when signaled to do so by a police officer, a school crossing patrol, a red traffic light. If you are in an accident in which injury or damage is caused, you must stop by law. Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Question 8. How will carrying a heavy load affect the handling of your vehicle? A. Stopping distances will increase. B. Improve stability on bends. C. You can move off quicker. D. Braking can start later. The correct answer is A. Stopping distances will increase. Carrying a heavy load may have an effect on the handling of your car, so you need to allow a greater stopping distance when carrying a heavy load. You may need to adjust your headlights and inflate your tires more to take account of the load. You should ensure that you distribute the weight evenly, as any change to the center of gravity will affect the braking and steering. Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Question 9. When you are carrying a heavy load, you may need to adjust the A. Location of the biting point. B. Aim of the headlights. C. Position of your seat. D. Travel of the handbrake. The correct answer is B. Aim of the headlights. Carrying a heavy load may have an effect on the handling of your car, so you need to allow a greater stopping distance when carrying a heavy load. You may need to adjust your headlights and inflate your tires more to take account of the load. You should ensure that you distribute the weight evenly, as any change to the center of gravity will affect the braking and steering. Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Question 10. On which occasion should you inflate your tires to more than the normal pressures? A. When driving in hot weather. B. When the roads are slippery. C. When the tire tread is below 2 millimeters. D. When carrying a heavy load. The correct answer is D. When carrying a heavy load. Tire pressure. You can't guess pressures just by looking at a tire, except when it's obviously flat. Check your tires regularly, at least once a week. Use a reliable gauge and follow the vehicle handbook for the correct tire pressure. Check your tires and adjust the pressure when they're cold. Don't forget the spare tire and remember to refit the valve caps. The handbook will also tell you if you need different pressures for different conditions. Generally, the pressure should be higher for a heavily loaded vehicle, or if you're intending to drive at high speed for a long distance, e.g. motorway journeys. Taxi driver theory test, practice test 3. Scenario. Please carefully read the following scenario and then answer questions 11 to 15 which follow. You have just started back to work after attending a 2-day taxi periodic training course. Each day was made up of 2 courses, each lasting the minimum amount of time for an approved course. On your first day back, the depot manager asks you to do a 10-hour shift as one of his drivers has rang in sick and he needs his shift covered. You are driving on the motorway. It's dark and up ahead vehicles are stopping due to a build-up of traffic. After leaving the motorway via the slip road, you notice that the steering has become harder to turn. Your last pickup of the day is a partially sighted woman with an assistance dog. When you return to the depot, the manager reminds you that your taxi driving license is due for renewal. Taxi driver theory test practice test 3. Question 11. What is the recommended break you should take during your shift? A. At least 30 minutes. B. At least 60 minutes. C. At least 15 minutes. D. At least 45 minutes. The correct answer is D. At least 45 minutes. Driving time and rest periods. The manual. All you need to know to be a taxi driver offers recommendations as to working hours and the required duration of breaks for taxi drivers. Taxi drivers should not work for more than an average of 10 hours per day. The usual break should be 30 minutes for a shift of between 6 and 9 hours. For shifts lasting more than 9 hours, breaks should be at least 45 minutes. For shifts lasting 12 hours, a minimum of 2 breaks of 60 minutes each are recommended. Drivers should take at least 11 hours off in between shifts. Taxi driver theory test practice test 3. Question 12. What action should you take on the motorway? A. Straddle the lanes to prevent others from passing. B. Stop on the hard shoulder and put out a warning triangle. C. Move into the left lane and slowly come to a stop. D. Slow down and switch on your hazard warning lights. The correct answer is D. Slow down and switch on your hazard warning lights. On the motorway, if you see serious congestion ahead, you can use your hazard warning lights briefly to alert drivers behind you. This can reduce the risk of rear-end collisions, especially in bad weather. Taxi driver theory test practice test 3. Question 13. What could be the cause of the change in the handling of your vehicle? A. Front wheel has a puncture. B. The road has become icy. C. The front brake pads are worn. D. Faulty front wheel alignment. The correct answer is A. Front wheel has a puncture. Tires, steering. If your steering becomes heavy or erratic, you may have a puncture. Taxi driver theory test practice test 3. Question 14. How many hours periodic training do you still need to complete before you can renew your license? A. 28 hours. B. 14 hours. C. 21 hours. D. 7 hours. The correct answer is C. 21 hours. The training must be delivered by an approved training provider and the course must have been approved by DVA before it can be uploaded against each taxi driver's record. If after 5 years, you have not completed the minimum 35 hours training, your taxi license will not be renewed. These courses have a minimum legal duration of 3 hours 30 minutes. Any course which does not comply with the legislation cannot be attributed to periodic training and uploaded against a driver's record. In addition, if a course exceeds the minimum period but falls short of the next acceptable time period of 7 hours, i.e., any time between 3 hours 30 minutes and 7 hours, the extra time cannot be attributed towards an individual's periodic training record. Taxi driver theory test practice test 3. Question 15. How should the animal be carried in your vehicle? A. On the seat with the adult belt wrapped around it. B. Seated on the floor at the feet of the passenger. C. Strapped in with a special car harness. D. In the boot of your saloon vehicle. The correct answer is B. Seated on the floor at the feet of the passenger. Make sure that any objects or animals you carry are secured safely. Dogs should be strapped in with a special car harness or travel behind a grill. Other animals should be carried in cages or special carry boxes which should be secured with the seat belt. The only exception to this is assistance dogs which can travel with their owner on the floor of your vehicle, when possible. Make sure packages are securely stored, preferably in the boot of the vehicle where they should be strapped down or wedged in to stop them moving around.